wanted to share this video because what's his name? Joe Kernigan? I don't know his last name. From MS or CNBC. He's been pretty hot lately. I know that a lot of Bitcoiners are on Team Joe, including myself. I love how he defends Bitcoin and calls people out. This was a clip from yesterday. Looks like somebody from the Biden administration on CNBC talking about unrealized capital gains. So let's take a quick look at this. It's a minute long. I'm sure people saw this, but it's worth watching again. This is from Bitcoin News. And here we go.
Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
it's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way the stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools, you're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to
it's not income.
tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen.
God bless Joe. And the lady. I don't know who that lady was, but she was also not having any of that bullshit. Okay, so that was Bharat Rahamurthy. That's one of Kamala Harris's top economic advisors. He seemed like he was a top economic advisor. Did you hear him stumbling on his words? You can tell these people are starting to realize that they're losing grip on reality here, that their illusion is not working anymore on people. When you have CNBC calling out your bullshit, you're in a lot of trouble. So they're talking about taxing unrealized gains. And if you think about what an unrealized gain is, think about your house. We talk about house values all the time here, but think about your house. Let's say your house went from, and this might not be primary residence, it might be rental homes, they might start with that, but regardless of it, let's say your rental house goes from $200,000 when you bought it 10 years ago, and now it's worth $800,000. So you got a $600,000 capital gain there. If you were to dispose of it, you'd have the difference between your cost and your proceeds is your capital gain. So you got a $600,000 capital gain there. Why did that happen? Well, your rental home probably didn't actually become more valuable. The thing that happened there is that the government decided to print 40% of the total money supply during that 10 years. And every dollar they print makes your dollars worthless. The current assets, everything gets bumped up in values because our dollar is worth less. The thing that we're valuing everything against is worth less. The rental house didn't become more valuable. The dollar became worth less. So the government created this issue, and now all of a sudden they want to tax you for their problem that they caused. And think about that. If you had a $600,000 gain, you have to pay tax on that under this unrealized gain bullshit. And don't get me wrong. I don't think that anybody should be paying capital gains because of that reason. The government created the problem. But in this, at least when you pay a capital gain on a disposal, so let's look at the flip side of that. You actually sold the rental home. So you have in your bank account now $800,000. You can pay tax on that $600,000 capital gain. In this case, you still have the rental home. You don't have any of the cash, the proceeds from it, and you're going to have to come up with like, I don't know, $100,000 to pay off the tax on that. Who has $100,000 kicking around that they want to give to the government? This is the dumbest, most outrageous thing that they could ever propose. And you have Kamala's top economic advisor out there explaining why it just makes sense. I mean, we already have things like this property tax, which is another one of the biggest scams ever. It's insane. These people are actually insane.